Lindsey said this.
Yeah?
I said this. Lindsey said this. And then I said this.
Are you not just going to read it out?
No, it's coming up on the screen, can't you tell?
Awful.
So a caterpillar cake looks like this first. It's a chocolate cake, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not a real caterpillar. No caterpillars will hurt.
So me and Liam, once upon a day, used to work in a cinema.
Yes.
And there were, on a Sunday morning, every Sunday morning, we'd all rush in because the first 3 people in would get to do the kids' parties.
And it was the best job in the whole of the cinema because all the other jobs, you ended up covered in cheese sauce and like Coca-Cola syrup.
You get to go in and you get to build this room with all these big blocks. We used to make forts and stuff.
Which was the most dangerous thing in the world because the blocks were really, really heavy, made of like wood, but we was like building them up to be like a castle or something. So when all the kids ran in, they'll go, "Oh, a castle!" Run in. It would come tumbling down on them, be obliterated.
They go jumping into it thinking it's really soft, and most of it is soft, but the underside,
yeah, the underside,
really wooden, heavy, horrible thing that would just land on them and crush them to death. It was like a children's version of 9/11.
Yeah.
So these kids' parties, the kids would come in and watch a film like Rugrats movie, and then they'd come flying into the little kids' party area that we'd made up. We'd put on music and you'd have to just look after them and stuff. What they would get is a party bag, and in the party bag would be like a toy, some sweets.
Yeah.
What?
I'm just thinking where this is going.
So they get a toy and some sweets and some, like, a balloon, like not blown up, but like just a balloon. Just a basic balloon.
Just a basic balloon.
Deflated balloon. But they'd also get a slice of cake. Now, when you work at the cinema, you have these horrible shifts where they're really long and you get hungry. There are 11 children in this.
Yeah.
So you have to cut the caterpillar cake up into
11 pieces.
11 pieces.
But those kids aren't going to check each other's size of cakes. They don't know how big each slice would be, and also they haven't really checked whether they've got one of them has the head of the caterpillar, which has the most chocolate, or the tail, which also has the most chocolate, because they're the end of the cake.
So the first thing you do is cut the head off and the tail off and never give it to them.
Yeah.
And you eat that while you're cutting up.
Which leaves you with
the
a middle bit of the cake, which you then have to cut into very small slices.
Well, you've now got 2 less slices than the original 11.
Yeah, so you've eaten those.
So you've now got the middle of the cake, which you've got to cut into 11 pieces.
Yeah. Say Brad has the task of doing the party that week. Well, I know the trick. I know what he's doing. I know that there's cake and I could eat it. So I walk in and go, right, I want a bit of cake. But he's already eaten those 2 bits. So I've then got to have a bit of my own, which then makes another slice even smaller than it was before.
Well, you've taken another out of it, so then you've got to cut one of your other halves in half. So you've cut up your pieces into wafer thin bits, and you've got halves of halves. So you eat them. Because where else are they going to go? You're not going to put them in the bin. These children would come running in. They'd get hurt on the fort that we'd illegally made, and then at the end of the party, they've had fun and everything. Parents come along and pick them up. And they get their party bags and they must get home, tuck it into their bit of cake, and they've got a bit of cake which is about 2mm across.
Yeah. Like a crumb. They've got a crumb of caterpillar cake.
I actually got to the point where I would just cut the cake in half and put it in another cupboard. Cut that bit up, give that to the kids. They'd leave. I've got to wait for my next party to come in, so I'd just eat. I'd have a whole half of the cake. Instead of having slices, I had just a whole half. I could just...
Content.
Look, in case you don't mention it.
Look, content.
It's going to be definitely in focus, that.
Yeah.
Come in here, Hazel, and show everyone. Hazel bought one.
Oh, look at that.
Hazel bought one, didn't she?
Content.
Old money tits over it.